also from my side, so welcome. I think it's amazing to see that the open data has such opportunities today. And thinking about that everything started in 2010, 2011, with people who were, according to me at that time, pioneering in open data and also free software. And what I wanted to show today is that as mobility is one of the focus points of today, I will show what will happen in mobility, what is happening in mobility, and what the role of open data could be, or will be. For me, it's a certainty. And how you as a company or startup or whoever who has a nice idea can really surf on a big wave that is coming. First of all, for those just 3-4 slides introduction, and then I come to the mobility and open data. For those who do not know the Neutech Park yet, so Neutech Park stands for Nature of Innovation. So we especially focus on everything that is innovative and R&D. So that's also important. So also developing the new and everything, especially for the sustainability in mind. Important also, talking about mobility, is that we recently also opened a second Neutech Park. Most of you heard it. The opening was 2 weeks ago, the 5th of May, and also the 6th of May. That was the open day. And the main topic of Neu Bruneck is to be the center of excellence in sustainable mobility and sustainable manufacturing. Sustainable manufacturing, not a surprise. There's a lot of automotive companies, Tier 1 suppliers mainly, that are producing components, which I would call the hardware mainly. And so they are really focused on a sustainable manufacturing to survive also. But also the next topic is sustainable mobility, which goes a bit beyond the hardware. Is it battery electric? Is it hydrogen? We also have to solve the problem of the mobility on the data level, I would say. And that is also a focus. Now, what are today approximately the main mobility customer pain points? And they are highlighted in 3 different colors. So the light gray is an in-car problem. The white is rather a car-related problem, so the car and its ecosystem. And then we have also a car-independent problem. And at the end, we see that the main pain points are, we can bundle them so first of all, we have the e-mobility itself. So all the things that we hear about the battery electric driving, is the range enough? What about the materials that we are using? So those are more car-related things. A big issue everywhere is the parking issue. And there are different issues, especially also where to find parking, going to a parking lot without driving around and losing a lot of time and creating emissions. Then we have also the flexible use and the intermodal travel, especially intermodal travel, that's really not solved. So to jump really and hop from one solution to the other, there's a lot to be done there. And also the information. Not all information is available, especially traffic info and so on. So that information can still be generated more, gathered more, and made available to whoever wants to develop a business model based on mobility. When we talk about the digitalization of mobility, mainly what people talk about are 3 things, but the 4th thing I think is less talked about. So the first one is the digitalization of the car itself. I think you can read a lot about it. So the connectivity of the car, the onboard entertainment, and so on. Then you have the digitalization of the automotive value chains. So always more and more the entire automotive industry, the OEM, the car manufacturer, the suppliers, they are always more and more connected digitally, not only in the logistics, not only in the production, also before in the validation, the testing, in the system integration, everything becomes always more and more digitalized. Then you have, I would skip the 3 because the 3 is, according to me, the most important one. The 4 is the big data analytics. So a lot of opportunity with the data that's available to generate AIs on it and to develop new things. But what is not so much in the focus and where there's a lot of opportunity, and I will show it then later, is the digitalization of the automotive business models. So the complete service around mobility, there's a lot of things that can still be created. Location-based services, service extensions, so going to parking, even more better charging solutions, and where to go for charging, things related to predictive maintenance, and so on. That's not a surprise, I think, that the quality of the data increases when we go up, when it is really worked on it. So we have two axes. First is the timeliness. So are we talking about historic data? Are we talking about actual data? Are we talking about future data? That's all important. But then you have on the other axis, you have the reference object. So what are we going to do with that data? Are we going to do something for the driver, for the passenger, for the vehicle, for the traffic, for the infrastructure? And all that data is normally very much scattered around, not very well, let's say, put together, very difficult. That's where the value is. So when you can put the dots together and have more insights going up to the pyramid, your data has always more and more value, and you can do always more and more with that data. And as the comments say on the right, especially the second and the third bullet point, there's currently maybe no is a strong communication. There's less market for automotive data, so there's still a lot to be done. And the data value increases the more you go up. So the more, or you can access to data that is more up to the pyramid, or you can yourself, with algorithms or so on, go higher in the insights. Your data is more valuable, and it's very interesting to develop new solutions. And maybe coming now to my one but last slide, and that is the most important one. That is really where we are going worldwide, related to mobility, and I called it data-driven ecosystem for mobility services and even adjacent industries. So on the left, you see the situation of today. It's called walled gardens. I like the terminology. So everybody has his data and still keeps it for his own. Yeah? And the evolution will be, and there's a forecast, I'm not so good in forecast, but quite soon, 2030, we will go to public parks. So those data will always more and more be connected, and there will always more and more be opportunities to work on that data. Where are we now? On the left side, we see legacy transportation system. So the big car manufacturers, OEM, that have their data, they don't want to share it, it's all from them. That's the old world. Now we are a bit, depending of the car manufacturer, I don't name names. There are some that are very upfront with connected, automated, and electrified, especially related to data, I'm talking, to have the data, to make the data available for solutions. But you have other car manufacturers, unfortunately mainly in Europe, who are still not good even in the second step. They are still preparing themselves for the second step. And then we have the third step, software-defined. Those are all preparative things that have to be prepared before we can go further, is the so-called software-defined vehicle. And there, we, for example, also as Neutech Park, we are part of a working group which is called Software-Defined Vehicle from the Eclipse Foundation, where there are companies, big names. There is Bosch, there is Mercedes, there is CARIAD, who is developing the software for Volkswagen. They are all in that group, defining together the future of the data of the vehicle, the so-called software-defined vehicle. Why? Because nobody, no car manufacturer, maybe there's one that is very upfront, but especially the others, they have big problems to define the software of the vehicle. A lot of them tried it on their own and made very bad experiences and decided to open always more and more the software development of the vehicles to at least have a common ground and develop the basis of the software of the vehicle together. And of course, everyone will do his own add-ons, and customer interface will certainly be very customer specific. But it is clear that everything will happen, everything or a lot will happen with free software, open data, and we are in those working groups since October last year to understand what is going on and also to find out which are future opportunities, business models, and we are also in direct contact with those big car manufacturers, but not only, there are also tier one suppliers and software developers that are also part of the team. So that's all being worked on. It's called software-defined vehicle, so the basis of the software of the vehicle. And then it really starts. Then we go always more and more into a vehicle in a system. So the vehicle will always more and more be in an ecosystem of data. First of all, everything that is related to mobility, like the car manufacturer himself, the fleet operations, the suppliers, and some service providers will start also to enter, and there will be possibility to exchange data to build new business models. And the next step is even further, system of systems, so it goes even beyond mobility. A nice example is, for example, the insurance. An insurance company would also be interested to know what is happening with the car, how much miles are you driving, what is happening live, in order to fine-tune their offering to the car manufacturer, to the car driver. So just to say that we are just at the beginning of that cycle that will open a lot of opportunities, and everything will be based on data that is being made available. And that's why our open data is also so important, where, by the way, we have one very important data place, which is the mobility. We have tourism. We have a lot of mobility, especially in South Tyrol, but not only. We also have things in data about Trentino and also Austria. And we are now also, we did a project, and we want also to collaborate in a European project that is working on open data and extending open data in Europe. And so it will be very important that we are also in there, and we can develop our open data even further with data that is not only anymore linked with local data, but always more and more also with European data. And then we could also enable, through our open data hub, the possibility to enter those potential market spaces. Last slide, just as a graphical representation. So the open data, our open data, but not only, but mainly here in South Tyrol, is the data platform. So what happens on the left, you have data generators, that can be the car manufacturer, the suppliers, the complete infrastructure, also third parties, a lot of third parties, also institutions. They will render that data available, of course, according to GDPR. So, of course, privacy rules have, of course, to be respected. All this data goes into a platform, like, for example, our Open Data Hub, and then you can start. So then everybody can start working on new solutions, new developments. Yeah, that is what I wanted to share as a start, to maybe open your mind related to open data and especially mobility, that you can see that really there's a lot of opportunity coming, and it would be, I think it's an opportunity for everyone, also a startup working with data, to think about what could he do, what could he offer in that mobility sphere to improve mobility as a whole, and also at the end reduce emissions and contribute to the sustainability of our Earth. Yeah, thank you, that's what I wanted to present, and I hand over to the next one. Thank you.